UFC pay-per-view. Let's get it. Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the channel, man. Alright guys, real quick before we actually dive into UFC 281, I did want to mention the fight card from this past weekend, Rodriguez versus Lemos. This fight card was low-key really good. I'm gonna just go over it super quickly. I would say out of all these fights, this Neil Magny versus Daniel Rodriguez fight was crazy. Both round, the first round, Neil Magny clearly won. Second round, D-Rod clearly won. And then in the third round, it was super close. But then obviously Neil Magny ended up getting the submission. Now he has the most UFC wins at welterweight. He beat GSP's record, so that's super cool. Congrats to him for that. But yeah, man, overall this fight card was super lit. Honestly, I feel like all of these fight cards, the really underrated ones that people don't really watch that much, all of them have been crazy so far. Like, I mean, you could see from the main card, literally every single fight was a stoppage. I believe even in the prelims, most of these were stoppages. So yeah, man, this fight night, super dope. Now, we move on. UFC 281 at MSG. Adesanya versus Pereira. Stupid hype for this. So I'm going to start with the prelims because there's some huge names on here. Molly McCann is in the prelims. Dominic Reyes. Dude, this Dominic Reyes versus Ryan Spann fight, this one I'm definitely going to watch. It's going to be crazy. And then lastly, the main fight on the prelims, Brad Riddell versus Renato Moicano. This fight is going to be lit. They are both coming off of losses. Moicano lost to Rafael Dos Anjos. Brad Riddell lost to the Tarantula Turner, who he literally got his, I believe it was like a guillotine or something. That fight was crazy. Anyway, I feel like this fight is going to be super sick. Last fight on the prelims, definitely a must watch. But now, man, moving on to the main card. The first fight, we got Dan Hooker back versus Claudio Puelles. I believe, dude, this fight is going to be insane. It's definitely going to be non-stop action. Dan Hooker, I feel like, has to prove a point of like, yo, I'm still a top dog out here. I think Dan Hooker is trying to prove a point of his last fight was a loss against Arnold Allen at 145. He's back up to 155. And now he's probably like, yo, I deserve to be at the top. I deserve to be at the top of the division. I'm still that guy. Like, I'm still really good. Claudio, obviously younger, less experienced than Dan Hooker. And he's probably like, yo, Dan Hooker's one of those gatekeepers of the division. If Claudio goes out, beats him, he's probably a top 10 ranked fighter in the division. So for him, he's like, yo, let me come out here, do my thing, get the top 10 ranking. So right now, looking at the odds, they do have Dan Hooker as a favorite. I'm going to go with that. I think Dan Hooker has to prove a point. He's like, yo, let me get this dub real quick at MSG. He is also with a bunch of city kickboxing people, so their whole gym is there. If you follow Israel Adesanya's videos, you know that. But yeah, man, for the first fight, I'm going with Dan Hooker. Next up, Frankie Edgar versus Chris Gutierrez. This is probably going to be Frankie Edgar's last fight ever in the UFC. He said before that he's going to be retiring after this fight. But he is going up against an absolute monster in Chris Gutierrez. Again, this is another one of those vet versus kind of a newcomer. But in this case, Frankie Edgar already coming into it is like, yo, I'm retiring. So I think he's just trying to go in there, have fun, have like a really good show. But Chris is just a different beast. I think with this fight, I'm definitely leaning towards Chris. Oh yeah, looking at the odds, he's the heavy favorite as well. So with this, I'm going with Chris, but I definitely want to see a super dope fight. I want to see Frankie go out the right way, like in a super dope way. But yeah, man, shout out the legend. Now, we are getting to the top 3 fights. Bro, this one, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, fireworks. Like, honestly, I don't know who to predict for this. Like, I'm leaning towards Dustin just because he's so much more technical. His boxing is so perfect. He's easily one of the best boxers in the UFC. Also, dude's faced literally everyone in the division. I mean, his only recent losses have been to Charles Oliveira and Khabib. So he's obviously beaten Conor. He came off that crazy ass win over Dan Hooker. Also beat Max Holloway for the interim belt. So I think experience definitely favors Dustin here. But then we got Michael Chandler, who just be doing some crazy shit. And dude is so wild that you never know what could possibly happen. Like that front kick to Tony Ferguson, still one of the wildest knockouts ever. That was like the perfect front kick right to the chin, lights. And bro, he is just so explosive. bro, he's just insane. Like, Michael Chandler is truly just insane. When he gets in there, he wants to just brawl, straight up just go at it. He's also a great showman. So that is exactly why this fight is going to be amazing, or I'm thinking it's going to be electric. With all that being said, I'm leaning towards Dustin Poirier. I think he's going to come out with the dub. But bro, this fight's gonna be ridiculous. Then we got the first championship bout, Carla Esparza versus Zhang Weili. Off rip, Zhang's gonna kill her. like I don't know if you guys saw this, but Zhang Weili literally picked up Francis, and Francis is like 293 right now. Like, bro, look how easy that is for her. That's crazy. Bruh, even Francis was surprised. He's like, holy shit, bro. Weili is so strong. And Carla's last fight against Rose, that shit was such a terrible ass fight. If you guys remember that fight, they literally just stood there staring at each other. Carla just happened to have like 1 or 2 takedowns that gave her the fight. But that fight was horrible. Weili, on the other hand, I know she's gonna bang. She's gonna be just going at it. She's obviously just jacked as fuck. And so yeah, man, I truly believe Weili definitely gonna win it. And hopefully it's a good fight, bro. Hopefully it's not the last one, which was legit a snooze fest. Hopefully this is somewhat exciting. Yo, also Weili, dude, she hits like a truck. Like that Joanna knockout, that was crazy. So that's why I am definitely looking forward to watching Weili fight at least. And hopefully it's an entertaining one. Now, finally, the main fucking fight. Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira. Obviously, the reason why this is built up so much is that Alex knocked out Israel in kickboxing. They fought twice. The first one, Alex won because of like a controversial decision. Second fight, Izzy in the second round almost had him knocked out. But then in the third round, they came back. Alex got him with a left hook, slept him. Only time Izzy's ever been knocked out. And then obviously he's been undefeated, except for the Yan fight. He's been undefeated in the UFC or in MMA in general. So this fight, man, I am super looking forward to. I think it's gonna be crazy. Obviously, I'm a huge Izzy fan. He's one of my favorite fighters ever. So I'm really looking forward to it. One thing that I'm super curious about is to see if any of them decide to even take it to the ground. If anyone's gonna do it, I think Izzy is. I think Izzy's gonna be grappling, if it even comes to that. Honestly, I think Izzy should really fight like Aljo. If you guys ever watch Aljamain Sterling fight, all he basically does is leg kicks to keep you out of range, and then once his opponent comes in like boxing range, he just decides to wrestle him, just goes for a takedown, puts him down, and then obviously Aljo's just an incredible wrestler, so you can't really compare it to Izzy in that. But just based on pure experience, just some pure MMA experience and training for that shit, I feel like Izzy's probably the better grappler than Alex Pereira. So if he just keeps Alex in that kicking range, maybe even jab if it comes to it, but when he comes super close into boxing range, bro, just shoot for the takedown, just put him on the ground, try to submit him. I think that would be super cool to see, where he's like, yo, this is MMA, this is completely different. I can still strike with you, I can keep you in range, but the second you come in, I'm gonna just take you down and try to submit you. I think that would be super cool to see. That being said, I don't know if we're gonna actually see that. I think this is honestly gonna be very close to Charles Oliveira versus Islam, where that was just completely grappling, and they just decided to see who's the better grappler, who's better on the ground. I think it's going to be similar to that, but just striking. It's like, yo, who's the better striker? Who's the better kickboxer? Or who's the better MMA striker? So I think it's going to be super cool to see. Hopefully it's entertaining. Hopefully Alex, unlike Cannonier, decides to actually push him and tries to actually attack him. And if he does that, I think we're going to get a great fight. So MSG, Izzy, Alex Pereira, super looking forward to it. Oh, and then also for my prediction, I'm obviously going with the champ, man. I'm going with Israel Adesanya. I think he gets the dub. But yeah, man, that is pretty much it for this video. As always, be sure to check out all the links in the bio. At least it's something I do. And yeah, man, with that, I'm out of here. Peace.